ShinRobjira.
Today we're going to be talking about the Xplus DefoReal Godzilla Ultima. Goji Ultra Magnus over here comes home in an even smaller size. This time with more paint and detail on top of it. It's been a long while since I've nabbed me a DefoReal, since the beginning of the line, actually, Shin Godzilla and Kamada-kun. So let's just get started. Sweet magnificent Christ hammer, just look at this thing. I mean, let me adjust the camera for you all. Let me push him back a little bit. Look at this. Look at this spiky stud muffin. Oh. I have a very hard time pinpointing my hype and my love for this figure because just no matter where you look, this guy's got something impressive to just gawk at. One of those places being the dorsal fins. We've got the red veins strewn about. We've got this beautiful gray silver dry brushing on them. They just look fantastic. Like, I can't just not hold it and show you all in beautiful detail. Look at this. This is what I wanted on the Bandai Movie Monster Series figure, but I'm remiss to say that we'll probably never get that unless they do a heavy paint apps variant. That would be one hell of an anniversary gift next to Salunga and Jet Beta there, Bandai. But no, this is just very, very impressive work. It's like a forest of death metal trees. They all look fantastic. I mean, God, dude. Even from the back ends over here, this is really, really impressive. I mean, it's an Xplus figure, so it's to be expected. Like, just look at that, man! I can't. And I just love that they continue to this mid portion of the base of the tail over here before they become spikes. And wouldn't you know it, even all the spikes on the tail are properly painted and detailed to just about nearly the tip of the tail, where they get really too small to look good if painted. Another thing to highlight is the dry brushing done on Godzilla Ultima's skin over here. This is some magnificent looking stuff, dude. Again, I really wouldn't expect much less from Xplus, but they did us a solid. I feel like no matter where you look, this guy is just going to be sporting some paint that's going to make you do a double take. I mean, just look at these toes. They're not one singular color. It looks like we've got an almost greenish highlight going on over here, but the more you look at it from the front, you can see a little bit of purple in there too. Like, I didn't know that I needed toenail paint that went this hard, and look what we got from ol' Xplus over here. Killing it. And they did the exact same painting technique on the dew claws. Both of them, dude! That I just can't help but overly praise. Thank you, Xplus. Now, Ultima's fingernails don't feature that same amount of paint, unfortunately, but to their credit, these are rather small. And just the way they're positioned, I was pretty much expecting to have very basic, normal, and even somewhat goopy paint on here. Of course, absolutely no credit will be taken away from the fact that they are painted and they do look as good as they do. But let's continue talking about the other paint applications. Taking a look at Godzilla Ultima's armored underbelly to his throat, they did highlight the spikes on them in this very coppery brown, almost flesh tone, monster flesh tone maybe, and it looks great. It's interesting to see all of that highlighted on the figure, and it's really cool to see that they followed through all the way to the bottom part of his jaw over here. I mean, given the price that I paid and the fact that this is technically an Xplus figure, yeah, they better be putting in their 100%. Forgive me as I use a better part of the runtime of this review to just marvel at Godzilla Ultima's skin over here. I really do love the way that it was painted, and oh my god, you can see the little cracks in there. They're properly highlighted by the base vinyl and with this paint that's just strewn about on top. I don't exactly know what this technique is. I mean, obviously, it's called painting. I just love the way that they do this with the grayness of the skin poking through the skin over here. Oh, it's so good. I also especially love that they gave Ultima his Batman gauntlets over here, man. I consistently forget that he's got these over here. Thank God Xplus didn't. And I especially love that you're going to get that even on the bottom of the tail over here, where it's really not going to be seen that much. Yeah, it ain't as bright as the rest of the skin, but it is surely there. And of course, it's going to be on both sides of the tail as well. Just magnificent stuff from Xplus. I'm sorry, I just keep getting distracted by the Ultima Betties over here in the 6-pack, or the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7-pack. 14-pack, technically. Every little waking inch of this figure was properly painted, and it looks so good. I just can't get over it, man. Xplus snapped with this boy. Now I've intentionally been skimping out on showing off the head because, dude, look at this. It's so simple, yet so beautifully done. I love this dry brushing up top of his head. Minor painted detail like this is something that goes a very long way for an idiot like me, because it just makes picking up the figure off the shelf and looking at it all the more exciting, because guaranteed I'm probably missing something right now, and when I go to pick this guy up 3 months after this, I'm going to see it and just be amazed. Absolutely loving the strong jaw that Ultima's sporting over here, and again, the paint on this is amazing. Just look at that jawline. My god, Godzilla Jay Leno over here. This guy's got a chin that could sink the Titanic. Sorry, Titanicus. It is just vastly impressive, no, vastly superior to any Godzilla Ultima figure I've seen thus far. Granted, that's not exactly fair, because I don't think Xplus has actually made a Godzilla Ultima yet in the 25cm scale or beyond. If they have, please let me know, because I want to see that. Probably not going to be able to get it, but, you know, just to appreciate the fact that it exists. But I think what's even more impressive about this guy is this. Look at those eyes. They were applied near perfectly, and they look so good. Forgive me for being overly impressed, but damn, those look great. They really, really do. The dirtiness of the eyeball, the gold iris, the black pupil, it just looks amazing. And when you pull him back a little bit, he's kind of got a perplexed look on his face, like, what the deuce? What are you looking at? And there's my awful Stewie Griffin impression. Huzzah. And from the eyes, we can see that he's got his little nostrils over here painted up. And I guess now I really have to focus on the teeth, because look at these things. They're all so beautifully painted, with a few outliers in the mix. I mean, I don't know if I can really fault Xplus for leaving excess vinyl on the teeth, but we got some of that over here and a little bit on the opposite side. But I am still just so very impressed with how amazing all of these teeth look, especially the teeth at the front teeth. That is one hell of a monstrous grill Ultima be sporting. And moving along to the other side, I would definitely say this is probably the weaker side, because excess vinyl over here, some of the gums are peeking through, the gray paint over here, but I'm really not too bothered by that. I have seen copies out there that don't have this problem, and honestly, I like this thing way too friggin' much to give a shit. Yep, that's my Godzilla Ultima bias talking, but just look at this dude, Xplus knocking it out of the park! I have unfortunately seen a lot of this though, and on some copies it's a lot worse than mine, where the frontal fang over here, to be exact, wasn't painted all the way to the root over here. As you can see, I have a little bit of that, but I have seen a few in hands where they stop just a little bit short of that, and it looks a little on the wonky side. Thankfully, both of my fangs look a lot better than that. Whew. But now, quite possibly the most impressive thing about this figure that I'm actually going to have a hard time showing is the fact that all of the teeth on the inside of his mouth are all properly sculpted and painted, and hopefully you can all see that, but the 3 sacs at the back of Ultima's throat are all sculpted and painted back there as well. I know you're only seeing 2, but there are 3 in there, and they do look fantastic, and this is just magnificent. Honestly, they could have just had them sculpted into his mouth and just the same color as the inside of his mouth, and I really wouldn't have batted an eye. But just the fact that they're all there and they're all properly painted is huge. Xplus absolutely snapped with this thing. And they've been snapping with the DefoReal line and their normal lines and such, but this really does impress me as someone who hasn't got an Xplus DefoReal figure since Kamada-kun released. That, coupled with the eyes and the many different paint applications and the techniques used to make those paint applications look $200 worth, I'm gonna have to give this guy a solid star in terms of paint and in terms of detail. There really is nothing that I can genuinely say about this that I absolutely dislike. Now, if you want me to be a cynical bastard, much like how I am with SH Monster Arts, I'm aware, I would say that I absolutely despise the excess vinyl on the teeth over here, and I hate how goopy the fingernails look. Yeah, no. I can't even do that to play up my cynical side. I love this thing. I think it looks great just the way it is, and I really couldn't praise it any higher. Just look at all my little DefoReal boys together. They look so happy. Or confused and probably just confused. I don't know about happy. I like this figure so much that I gotta give you guys another turntable roundabout just to discuss everything that we went over. The silver dry brushing, the perfectly painted dorsal fins, the dry brushing on the skin and the dorsal spikes, the toenail paint, the dew claw paint, the paint on the teeth, the paint on the inside of the mouth, the perfect application of the eyes over here. This guy is a 1-to-1. This guy is a 5 for 5. But in this case, I guess he's a 2 for 2 because I'm only really grading him on his paint and his detail. Obviously, he's not going to be 1,000% accurate since he's all chibied up and everything. But this is, without a doubt, my favorite Godzilla Ultima figure that I now have in my collection. Now, this is just gonna go without saying, but the Bandai Movie Monster Series Ultimas, they don't hold a candle. The Bandai HG Godzilla D Plus Series 6 doesn't even hold a candle. It can't even hold a crumb to this magnificence. And to make it even better, even this box of his friggin' slaps. This being my third DefoReal figure in a very, very long time, I'm not used to these cardboard print boxes. Granted, this is what I got my 25cm Xplus Shin Godzilla figure in, but the last two Xplus DefoReal figures I got, being Shin Godzilla and Kamada-kun, they were in these plastic open window boxes. It was all very flashy, but here it's just so simple. So simple and somewhat nostalgic because I remember seeing these garage kit boxes as a kid in all the hobby shops that were around in my town at the time, and this just absolutely brings me back. Takes me back to the good old days where Bandai figures were like $10, and most of those that were once $10 are now like $125 on eBay. But I just love that this box is fully decked out, top to side, the other side, to the other side, nothing on the bottom, and honestly I like this box so much that I would say that it's an absolutely primo display piece too. Just look at that. He's looking over his kingdom with very confused eyes. What the deuce? Plus it absolutely just tickles my jimmies that I'll be able to sip some good coffee out of my Otaki factory mug and admire this lovely little spiky muffin boy. Size comparison time, small, medium, large, related. The DefoReal line continues to impress me. You know, tiny monsters, big detail and paint, the whole shabam. Everything about this release reminds me why I love these things at first sight. And now, with another release under my belt, my third one to be exact, I can fully say I am addicted all over again. It's a good thing I got the Jet Jaguar and Gigan DefoReals on pre-order, and once that Megalon... more DefoReal reviews to come. That's about enough out of me. I just hope you enjoyed this review. Social media, Patreon page, all in the description below. And when next we meet, I'll be taking a piping hot sip of the very best modern day Ultra action figure released. Savengar over here. Easy 3 stars, bruh. See you then.